Josie, did you get a chance to listen to Soccer Stupid, the podcast? And if so, what did you think of it?
You know, I want to be polite with you, and I prefer not to answer to the question because your question is really a bad question.
Louie. Episode 75 of Soccer Stupid, the soccer podcast. Oh no, he's rubbing his eyes.
Tears of joy.
But you don't have any tear ducts because of the war. They were surgically removed, so you're just rubbing your eyes, but there's no tears.
I'm still sad.
This is our farewell episode, man. Like, we thought, we've been doing this for 2 years. We need some closure, right, to the podcast. Right. This is our farewell episode. So anything goes here. Anything goes. Crying, sobbing, even. We should do it. We should do it on this podcast. But this
is allowed. Yes,
is our final Soccer Stupid, the soccer podcast episode. And I know that the folks who are listening are also, they probably just pulled over in their cars. Like, they're driving, they pulled over in their cars, they're crying. They're walking their dog, they stopped, they didn't even pick up the poop. They just started crying right there. But this is the last episode, and we thought it would only be fair if we came back and, did a last chatteroo, if you will. And one thing, though, you should know, listener, and Sacer fan, is that we do have a ongoing podcast. We cheated on you a little bit with our other passion called the Dogecoin, and it's the Dogecoin Podcast, and you can hop over there anytime. So if maybe you're not even a Dogecoin, investor, or maybe you don't even invest in cryptocurrency or know nothing about it, but you know us. And if you do happen to miss us, we will have a weekly podcast called the Dogecoin Podcast, and you can find it also on Twitter and on Facebook. Join the community, join the Dogecoin family, the Dogecoin army, was we're a part of it. And so we're just letting you know that we're not actually going away, but we do need to put a pause on the Soccer Stupid podcast, and really just due to time, right, Louis? Not that we're not passionate about Sacer. That's still we still watch games, we still text, and we made some friends along the way with Rob from the 90 Plus and Extra podcast. So if you do need a podcast, soccer podcast to cry on, you can always go to 90 Plus and Extra Time with Rob. There's also On the Counter, which we met. Those guys are really great, so you guys can check those guys out. And then there was In the 11 with I'm so bad at names, but check out On the 11 podcast, and I can't remember his name. I'm the worst. It's me. And you too. I know you didn't remember.
I don't remember.
Brandon Griffin. Oh, I can't believe it. The name just popped in my head. And then there's also our buddies Matt and Ian, and they have a podcast, and they cover all sports. And that's come on, Louis, give me the name. I didn't put any of this in front of me. They are a Thrill Defeat. Man, my brain is really on it. I don't know what it is. You know why? Because we're not doing this podcast in the afternoon. It's the morning, so I've only had coffee. I haven't had any beer yet to kill those brain cells. And I stopped drinking beer pretty early last night. So maybe my brain cells, they regenerated overnight. Now I have memories. But anyway, we wanted to just again have a final podcast out there. But those are all great podcasts. Listen to those guys, and that was the beauty, right? I'm sorry to just go on and on, Louis. But that's part of the beauty of us having the Soccer Stupid podcast, was we did meet some buddies and make some friends along the way, and we had some really great guests on the show. And I forgot Hendel, who also had the Immigration podcast. He's fantastic.
Still keep in touch with him. Yes,
still keep in touch with him on social media, and you can always pop over there if you want to hear a friendly voice. But anyway, that was one of my favorite bits of having Soccer Stupid the podcast, was chatting with people, making friends along the way, talking about Sacer, the rivalry between the teams, and making fun of each other, sometimes making me cry. I'm very sensitive,
sometimes very drunk.
But let's start from the very beginning. You and I, we used to work at the same company a very long time ago, and I would pretty much my whole life, I would watch the World Cup. So it's always, it's always been with me, Sacer. But it wasn't until I met you, Louis, that we watched one World Cup, and I'm not gonna timeline, so I'm not gonna put dates on it. But it was one World Cup we watched. It was a very intense World Cup, and it's very early on. It's before the 7-1 Brazil loss and all that. It's still fresh. It still hurts. But I remember asking you, I had this. That year, that World Cup, I really got the soccer bug, or the football bug, and I remember asking you, dude, where can I watch? I need and you're like, oh, dude, there's league. There's the English league, there's La Liga, Spanish league, there's French league, and I remember at that time I literally watched them all. I never even saw my family ever again. I was watching my PhD. I watched every English Premier game. I was watching, at least Barcelona and Real Madrid at the time. I was watching PSG. It was getting, and then obviously we had all the cups. It was just too much. But I remember right at that point where I'm getting the point. This is where I'm getting it. We talked about, because you and I would text or call or talk about it at work all the time. All the games that was going on. And I remember you and I talked about it very early. Let's have a podcast. We should do something like that. And it took us about 4 years, to even move forward with that. I don't remember. It was just one New Year. It was January. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. Bought a computer, found, did a shitload of research, found a hosting site. And we just kind of set it up, got some mics, and we started out in my living room, right? We didn't even have no real setup. There's 2 mics, computer, each at the end of the table, at both ends of the table. We'd meet up at lunch, right? Have maybe too many beers at lunch during that time. Did a podcast.
We weren't working, by the way. Just that we weren't working, right?
And that was essentially the beginning of Soccer Stupid, was in the living room. And then we had set up, and then I cleaned out the garage. I got a big table, and we had set up in there, and that was really cool. Because then it opened up when we can do the podcast, and usually it was on the weekend, usually pretty late at night, and we were able to just yell and scream and be crazy in there. And then we would do the podcast live or together in there. And then COVID hit, and then it was funny too, is I remember when we did the pod then, I was very lazy on the research of how to do remote podcasting, because we were thinking about, we need to do interviews. How do we do that? I have no idea. And it wasn't until COVID hitting that we realized, oh yeah, Zoom. You can record audio and everything. And then we put it up on YouTube, so you can still get all our episodes on YouTube. They're all there. And this one we'll put up on YouTube also if you want to see our handsome mugs and see my Soccer Stupid hat, which is really dusty, by the way. I have not worn this. This is how long we haven't done a podcast. I had it up on the shelf, and you can't really see it, but it's very, very dusty. And then here we are today. We're out of time. We ran out of time. There's just not enough time. We're still very passionate, and we still love Soccer Stupid podcast. And just so you know, it's a farewell for now. But we may come back. What did Trump say when he left? I'll be back in some shape or form. We may drop an episode here and there. Who knows? Soccer Stupid. Soccer. Tons of stickers. And we can, and also to give it a shout out. I know I'm doing all the talking here. To give a shout out to your cousin Oscar. You can find him on Instagram. He's space underscore kid art. He did our really amazing logo for the podcast. Very cool, and we were very happy about it. He made me a little rounder than I am. It's okay. I'm not that round. But it was very cool, and it wasn't really until then that it felt like, wow, we got a real, until we get that logo in there, I was like, wow, this is a real podcast.
Official.
Yeah, this is great. So check out his stuff. Hit him up if you want a logo for your pod. He's around. But yeah, I mean, Louis, how do you feel about saying goodbye? Saying goodbye. Nothing makes me more sad, other than Manchester City winning the league, than saying goodbye to soccer. Stupid. Goodbye. But yeah,
Yep.
how are you feeling there, buddy? How you feel? Hey, well, let us know how you feel. This is your time.
Well, first of all, Joao, I'm wearing one of my favorite jerseys of all time. Let me show you. This is I don't know if you can see it because of this whole glare thing, but this is my Man City jersey, and the name is Agüero back there.
Kun!
And yeah, Joao, it's been a great ride with Soccer Super. Yeah, we started from nothing, right? And we've learned so much from it. Even as far as like sacrificing, a lot of things that we want to do, but because we were so focused on giving out shows to the public, and so there's a lot of mixed feelings. Of course, I grew up watching soccer since little, and I remember my early memories. I remember watching the World Cups, with friends, even though I was like probably like 7, 8 years old, and so it's engraved in our DNA. So eventually, I kind of faded from it, but I came back. I mean, World Cups are always World Cups. You never miss those. Like especially if you're Latino, majority of Latino, that's all you watch in Latin America. So watching soccer and then coming here, and then of course, we used to try to play soccer too, right, Joao? When the World Cup was happening, so we even try that because
that's so just that one time for me. I already told the story, but all I gotta say is, "Hey, Joao, you want to play some soccer?" And I said, "Sure. Let me down a cheese sandwich and 3 beers, and I'll meet you right over there." And then I almost died after 15 minutes of running.
I saved your life. I told you. Hey, Joao,
that was my soccer career right there.
Yeah, that was his rookie year, and he retired right there and there.
Yeah,
with a win. Exactly. I think we won that game, by the way, Joao. Yeah. Just letting you know, I think we won that game. So anyway, then of course, I went along, and the company I used to work with, they actually sponsored us to play soccer. So we created a team, and a few of our friends that one of the guys, Maurice Castaneda, he was here on the podcast.
Yeah, he's a friend of the show.
Gary Peña also was part of the soccer
another
team.
Friend of the show, yeah.
Yeah, another friend of the show. So
Anoil
didn't play soccer with us, but what I'm saying, like the team that used to play soccer, and so man, we started playing in the league, and we weren't that good, but we were having a good time and stuff. So we did it for like a year and a half. So again, soccer has become even bigger now that I'm older, and we watch, like I still watch, sometimes we go back and forth with the rivalry. You're Liverpool, I'm Manchester City, and then we have Rob, who just I don't know if you know this, Joao, but Rob now is he's a Manchester City fan too.
Say it ain't so, Rob. Say it ain't so. It's like Darth Vader saying, like, come over to the dark side, and Rob's like, okay, sure. Happy to come over to the dark side. Come on.
So yeah, and then again, Manchester City has been doing great, and this is an opportunity for them to win the Premier, and then we have Chelsea coming up in the Champions League. So it's been a good year for me, Joao. You had a great year. You had couple of years that were actually great. I mean, you won the UEFA. 2 years ago, and then you won the Premier last year. So I mean, it's my turn, Joao. It's my turn. Okay, just let me be. So anyway, soccer career has been amazing for us. The podcast has been amazing for us, and again, this is not a goodbye. Once my kids are a little older, your kids are a little older, work settles down a little more. We'll come back and we'll bug you more with our nonsense stories.
Yep. Kermit the Frog and I can't think of something for you. Papusa McGee. I couldn't come up with anything. No, but absolutely right. I mean, that's really it. And yeah, man, we did this pod for a while. I'm trying to think. Like, I feel like Brendan Rodgers was still at Liverpool. You know, as before it was pre-Klopp. Yeah. Coutinho, I'm only going to speak about Liverpool stuff, but Coutinho was still in Liverpool. I think Sterling was still on Liverpool. Skirtle was on Liverpool still. I mean, that's how long we've been doing this pod, you know. So a lot has changed, right? But yeah, I know you had Mourinho moved to, like, you know, 3 or 4 clubs. Like, so I think he was Chelsea. He was Chelsea when we started, and
Man
that was
eventually.
Such a fun rivalry at that time. Yeah, and then he left for a little bit, and he came back for Manchester United, and then he left for a little bit, and then he came back to destroy Tottenham. And then he left. Where's he going? Roma? Didn't you say he's going to Roma or something?
He's supposed to be going to Roma. So
yeah,
you know
how I feel. I'm a huge, you know, it's like it's the one evil that I really enjoy. It's just such entertaining evil, just to watch him, and just you know, it's always a lot of fun, you know. And you know, it'd be great to have him back in the Premier League. And I sort of was starting to worry about. I know Liverpool's starting to come back a little bit. You know, now it's like they race to second place, right? So they're not, you know, I don't have the table in front of me, but you know, I think between Leicester and Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal. I think
Arsenal's a little it's a little below, but so I think it's mainly
my ass. But it's going to be a tight race, and Liverpool suddenly they're like, oh yeah,
we know how to play soccer.
Yeah, we remember how to do it. Firmino is the ball goes in the goal. You know, he's actually getting in. Like, what's his face? Oh my god. I'm gonna say for like 35 minutes. What's his face? Got his first goal since being brought on. Thiago. You know, so he's, you know, since he signed the entire season, first goal 2 games ago. You know, Salah is scoring again. I mean, it's suddenly, you know, we got to race again. You know, the number 1 spot's been taken. Number 1 spot's been taken. You son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. But it is a little bit of a race there. So really anything could happen at this point.
Well, Joao, what I'm looking for is next year, man. Next year, all these teams are gonna be doing really well. So next year is not gonna be. I don't think there's gonna be a clear winner. I think it's gonna go down to the wire. You know, we have Chelsea looking good. We have Manchester City still good. Liverpool, Manchester United.
Yeah.
So these teams are gonna put up a fight next year. So next year is gonna be tighter, which you know I'm looking forward to watch this game because it's gonna be another nail biting. You know, more fun finishes and stuff like that. So
that Man U game. That was quite a fun game.
I was gonna say maybe that's gonna bring us back to the podcast. You know, we'll be like, we cannot keep this to ourselves. We have to let the world know how we feel about these 4 amazing teams going at it. So
yeah, we'll see. No promises. This is called the farewell episode. You son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. You're telling your kids like, hey, we'll go to Disneyland, you know, and really in your head, you're like, no, it's not gonna happen. It might happen.
You never know.
You never know. But yeah, we'll see how things go. Yeah. I don't know, Louis. What do you think? We're gonna say goodbye to Soccer Stupid. You gonna cry? Let's see. Look. Oh my god. Just for the listeners. Pineapple chunks, as Ray Hudson would say.
I messed up my hair.
Oh man. But yeah, we do really appreciate the fans, the guys, the gals around the globe. And by the way, you know, we never really talked about this, but I mean, this pod was it's international. I mean, we have folks in Germany and in France and all around Europe,
China,
Asia's, you know, all across
Brazil,
the United States and South America. Listening to Soccer Stupid is absolutely, you know, like that blows my mind that you have people all around the world going, I'll give these guys a chance. And they're actually listening to these horrible, horrible voices that should not be anywhere near a microphone, but they stuck it out, and you can see it in the numbers. And even when we don't do a pod, you see the older episodes numbers grow, so there are people going back and listening to other episodes. That's bonkers to me, and we do really appreciate everybody who's tuned in and given us support and have jumped on. We have over 900 people who joined our Facebook page. We've had folks send us messages. We've had folks give us ratings on the Apple site or Apple podcast thingy. We've had folks on Instagram hit us up. Again, we met a lot of people along the way, so it's actually been a really fun ride, and we learned a lot about podcasting, and learned a lot about the soccer community, and learned about teams and clubs that I never heard of, just from talking to other people and being involved in that world. And I feel like we got more involved in the soccer world with the podcast than if we were just to tune into English Premier or La Liga. So yeah, I mean, it's it wasn't for naught, right? So it wasn't to do this podcast and go see you later, but it was the whole process and the whole experience has been incredibly positive. So, and then you and I have gone dry. I think we've had at least 2 or maybe even 3 beer challenges where we go 6 months without doing any drinking, any alcohol whatsoever. We'll go from November into up to baseball season, up to April. 6 months of just not drinking every day. We just finished that, so now we're drinking maybe too much again.
maybe
just a little bit. So we've gone from skinny to fat, beard to no beard. I think you even tried some facial hair at some point during the pod. We started the pod, you didn't have any babies, and we're busting out episodes left and right. We got a season tickets to LAFC at the bank, and at that point you were able to go to all the games, and then you had babies and you couldn't go to all the games, so yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to think about I'm looking at the timeline, like a lot has happened, we've moved to different companies right during that time, so I mean, we've had those chapters end during the pod. Obviously we don't talk a lot about our personal life and stuff. We gone through a pandemic and went through that transition and kept the pod alive. Yeah, I mean, it's been quite a ride. We got to give some more shout outs out to VAR, your brother Anthony. He used to play a very critical part in the pod where you and I, especially on the sauce, if you will, can't remember. And we always and this is why we call the soccer stupid. By the way, just give some insight on the name. We wanted to. It was very important to us that we weren't taken too seriously. We didn't want to be like a podcast where it's, we talked about the tactics and we were always accurate
numbers,
about,
right.
We didn't want anything to do with that, formations and all that crap, and history and accuracy. We didn't want any pressures on that. So, and to give a little history too on the name, I can't remember what we were going to call it, a tie game, or we were just coming up with some different names. And you had said, come on, let's get this stupid podcast going. And I'm like, let's just go with Soccer Stupid.
Yeah, I think I was mad about
that.
something.
Yeah, you're mad about something.
Yeah. I was like, I'm done with this soccer. I was done with stupid thing, whatever. Yeah. You're like, soccer stupid.
Yeah, it worked, and I'm like, that's a perfect name. And really, the idea too is it wasn't stupid of it being dumb. It was stupid like crazy, like a fanatic. Like it's a stupid amount of soccer, a stupid amount of whatever. Like it's soccer stupid. It's just so much saucer. We coined new phrases, saucer. Nobody says that. That's a soccer stupid phrase right there. And we took the American soccer word and we put a little Latin to it. Saucer. But let's give out some shout outs. So like again, VAR, your brother. So we needed that because we could never remember names. We need somebody to do some fact checking during the podcast. This is when we were physically doing the podcast, and so he was there to help, and we called him VAR. We've had. I'm trying to think of all the folks we've had on the call. We've had your cousin Juan from France.
Juan from France.
Yeah, the expatriate. I call him because he's no longer in the U.S. He's in France. And he's also a listener of the pod and probably listening now. But a shout out to him. He joined the podcast, and that was a great episode. And good to see him on the pod. We had Gary Pena. And he talked about his soccer experience and gave us some insight on
what was it, Tecolotes, whatever he calls the team, that undefeated team forever.
Yeah, I can't remember. He's big in, and he would just give us updates on Landon Donovan, who played indoor soccer in San Diego, right, for his team, and give us some insight on San Diego-based beers and breweries. That was awesome to have him on the pod. We had Anoil, which was nice to have another Brazil fan on the pod, and we both wore our Brazil jerseys, and that was a lot of fun. And we
had Rob.
We had Rob, right, Holloway at the 90 Plus Extra Time podcast, and that was a lot of fun. And that was he reached out to us, and he told the story, and it's unbelievable to us. But he always wanted to do a podcast. He ran across our podcast, and it was kind of funny how he explained it. It was like, hey, if these two idiots could do it, we inspired him by if these guys could do it, they're unprofessional, unchiseled, have no history of podcasting. I can do it too. And so he started his 90 Plus Extra Time podcast, where we've been talking ever since. We used to play FIFA with him, right? And we still have a chat going on during games and stuff. And so we're still very much in touch, and hopefully we'll get to Texas and watch a game, or him come to LA and watch an LAFC game. That'll happen at some point in time. Who else do we have? Again, Brendan Griffin from the 11 podcast, and he talked about his experience playing almost professional soccer, and he played, and I think he still is, and he's out there somewhere. Hendel, yeah, that was very important. We're reaching out to I remember that at that time we're reaching out to non-soccer podcasts, just get folks who are interested in it. And him and I had a good conversation on the phone, and we're like, okay, let's do this. Let's get you on the pod. And we had really, he wore his Barcelona jersey, right?
And he's a big PSG fan. Well, I think he likes a jersey, but he's a big FIFA 2021, I think, or 2020 is it?
Yep.
And so every so often he'll give you an update or how well he's doing, and then like we used to play as well. We used to play FIFA, and that was part of the show too. We talk about playing each other. But again, life came about for us, and I haven't played for a long time. But Hendo sometimes he's like, dude, we should make it a point to like have like a play date, where we can play, FIFA and blah blah blah. And
2022 is out.
Eventually Hendo we'll have time, and we'll play soccer again and have those like crazy games, and maybe we can have them. We can put them up on YouTube, right? Like we did with VAR. Yeah,
and don't forget those. If you want to watch me actually beat VAR for the first time, somehow we had to record it first and last. Absolutely, somehow. And I actually retired. It was when I retired from FIFA. I said, if I ever beat your brother, then I will retire. And I retired from FIFA after that. And it's live. We recorded it. It was a live streaming of me playing against your brother. And it's recorded. It's on YouTube. Find it at the Soccer Stupid channel, and you'll see me destroy him. It was wonderful. Who else do we have on the pod? Man, I feel
we had a few people.
Oh, Ian! Don't forget. Yeah, we talked about this already, but Ian and Matt. Matt being a huge Chelsea fan, and Ian a Liverpool fan, and they had a pod together. What the heck? I just said it. Now I forgot the name. What was it, Louis? Thrill Defeats! Thrill Defeat.
Finally, my brain came back to me.
Yeah, they don't do a lot of new ones, but if you see them, subscribe, and when you'll get the ping when they have a new episode up. They go live once in a while. But it's great having those guys on the pod. I think that's about it as far as folks that we had on. Right? I'm trying to think. Anybody else, Louis?
We missing anybody? Yeah, I think we are missing someone, but I cannot remember another soccer podcast.
Sad.
I think it was
I'm sorry, whoever you are. Very sorry.
We appreciate you and the time that you gave us, for our podcast. So anyhow, yeah, we're very we made this podcast fun. That was our whole plan. Not just to be one dimensional, just you and I talking, but we wanted other perspectives of people, of what they their opinion about soccer. And Hendel, for example, he's one of a good example because he also grew up watching soccer, but he kind of went away from it for a little bit. And then he's now finally returning back and then talking about Barcelona. He's a big Barcelona fan, and one of the things that he said that makes sense to me is that he said when I saw them lose, when they lost against Liverpool, it was almost like a breakup, like that feeling of sadness. That's how you know that you've arrived as a soccer fan. And you and I will experience that quite often, Joao, because you win, I lose, you win. Yeah. So it's just those emotions.
That same experience. I felt like I won the lottery.
Right.
He was crying. I was very happy.
I mean, that's the beauty about this podcast, that we're so opposites, that you're happy, I'm not. So vice versa. So it's been great. It's been great run, and I'm very happy to be part of this team, Joao. Like the Soccer Stupid podcast.
Team. And then if we ever get rich from Dogecoin, we're gonna create the Soccer Stupid FC team club, and then they're gonna rise to the ranks and take over and win in the U.S. Cup against whoever. It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
Soccer Stupid FC. Two dumb idiots who got rich off of coin. I love it. Oh man, Louis, I'll see you over at the Dogecoin Podcast. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So we don't have to cry. We will still see each other often. And again, check it out, guys. We're still going to be doing a podcast. We're just flapping over to their other passion. We still exist. We're still around. And again, send us your notes. And we wish you, and again, thank you very much for tuning in and sticking it out with us. Is that an expression? Sticking it out with us. That sounds naughty. That sounds not good. Thanks for sticking it out with us. But you know what I mean. Throughout the 2.5 years we've been on and off, not always consistent. But thanks for tuning in. It really means a lot to us.
By the way, Joao, before we go, I also want to thank Makayo. Makayo, I don't think you've met him before, but he's one of my good friends from work, and he is one of our best. He's like the most loyal Soccer Stupid podcast listener, and he's the type of guy.
I think he sent me a note. He sent me a note at my company email saying, "Hey, I listen to your pod. You guys are great. Keep it up."
Yeah, he's an amazing kid, man. And he's the type of person that whenever we will be walking around at work, he'll talk about the podcast. He'll be like, "Hey, Luis has a podcast." He'll advertise it. So, Makayo, I'm very thankful that you're my friend. Yeah. You're an amazing person. I love you, and thank you for backing.
You can't see Makayo because you're listening, but he actually has pineapple chunks rolling down his face.
I do.
Pineapple chunks. Pineapple chunks.
Thank you, my brother.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, anybody who gave, told their friends and told their friends and told their friends about Soccer Stupid, the podcast, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. So much. All right, brother. It was great having Soccer Stupid podcast with you. Again, tune into Dogecoin Podcast, where we will continue just shooting the shit with two microphones, talking about things that we don't really know what we're talking about, and we're not pros about it whatsoever.
Stupid Doge, the podcast.
The Stupid Doge podcast. But tune in over there. We're still around, and again, it could be in the future. Soccer Stupid comes back. Thanks, everybody.
Hasta la vista, mis amigos. Gracias por sus oídos. Nos vemos. Adiós, Joao.
Go Liverpool!
No! See, champion, baby. See you later, brother.
Soccer Stupid! Soccer Stupid! See you, brother.
All right, man. Peace.
Peace.